My grandfather always told me, this land, it breathes, Lily. It's got a soul. He wasn't just a farmer, he was a poet of the soil. When he passed, he left me his life's work, the farm. I was just 21. To my family, it wasn't a legacy, it was a burden, a dusty relic from a bygone era. What are you going to do with that old dirt patch? My uncle sneered at the funeral. Should have gone to business school like your cousins. They had always mocked my choice to study agriculture in college. Playing in the dirt, they called it. A degree in mud. Little did they know, that degree in mud was about to become their biggest problem. The vultures circled almost immediately. My aunts and uncles, who hadn't lifted a finger on the farm in decades, suddenly became experts in real estate. They saw dollar signs where I saw my grandfather's sweat and dreams. They saw a housing development where I saw rows of future crops. They started whispering, then talking, then demanding. You can't manage this place alone, Lily, they'd say, their voices dripping with fake concern. It's too much for a young girl. We should sell. Split the profits. It's the smart thing to do. They ganged up on me, pressuring me, telling me I was being sentimental and foolish. They even hired a lawyer to contest the will, claiming my grandfather wasn't of sound mind when he left me everything. They said I had manipulated him, this sweet old man who taught me how to read the clouds and listen to the corn grow. Their greed was a poison, and it was seeping into every corner of my life. I spent my first few months on the farm in a daze of grief and anxiety. The legal letters piled up. The phone calls from my relatives were relentless. I'd walk the fields, the soil cool beneath my bare feet, and I could almost hear my grandfather's voice in the rustling leaves. Don't you let them break you, Lilybug. It was during one of those walks that clarity hit me like a bolt of lightning. This wasn't just about land or money. This was about honor. It was about keeping a promise to the man who believed in me when no one else did. I remembered my college textbooks, the lectures on sustainable farming, crop rotation, and modern agricultural law. This wasn't just a dirt patch, it was a complex ecosystem, a business with untapped potential. And I, the girl who studied mud, was the only one who saw it. The fight was on. My first move was straight from my AG Law 101 class. I found the local Farmers Association. Walking into that first meeting was intimidating. The room was full of weathered, experienced farmers who had probably forgotten more about agriculture than I had ever learned. But when I shared my story, their hard expressions softened. They had seen it all before, greedy families, developers circling like sharks. They didn't just offer sympathy, they offered a lifeline. They connected me with a pro bono lawyer who specialized in agricultural inheritance disputes. He looked at the paperwork my relatives had filed and just laughed. This is flimsy at best, he said. We tie them up in so much red tape they wish they'd never heard the word probate. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of hope. I wasn't alone anymore. While the legal battle churned in the background, I got to work on the farm itself. The place had been neglected. My grandfather, in his final years, had only been able to do the bare minimum. The soil was depleted, the irrigation system was archaic, and the barn needed more than just a new coat of paint. My family saw decay, I saw a blank canvas. I pulled out my old college notes on soil science and started taking samples. I spent hours in the local library, researching grants for young farmers and sustainable agriculture initiatives. My useless degree was becoming my secret weapon. I wasn't just trying to save the farm, I was going to revolutionize it. I implemented a system of cover cropping and no-till farming to rebuild the soil's health, techniques my professors had championed. Instead of dousing the fields in chemicals like the neighboring mega farms, I started a compost system that would have made my grandfather proud. I designed a drip irrigation plan that would cut water usage by half. My cousins would drive by, slowing down to stare from their fancy cars, probably laughing at me covered head to toe in dirt, wrestling with PVC pipes. Let them laugh. I was building something real. I was building a future. I started small, planting a diverse range of high-value organic vegetables instead of just the commodity corn my grandfather used to grow. Things like heirloom tomatoes, rainbow carrots, and specialty greens that local farm-to-table restaurants were desperate for. The pushback from my family escalated. They called my new farming methods hippie nonsense. "You're going to bankrupt the place before we even get a chance to sell it," my aunt shrieked over the phone. They tried to turn the community against me, spreading rumors that I was a flighty city girl playing farmer and that I'd soon run the place into the ground. But the thing about small towns is, people watch. They saw me out there, day in and day out, from sunrise to sunset. They saw the fields, once brown and tired, slowly turning a vibrant green. They saw the work. And in a farming community, work is respected more than words. My neighbors started stopping by, not to gawk, but to offer a helping hand or a piece of advice. The same old-timers from the Farmers Association would drop off old tools or share seeds from their own successful crops. Then came the turning point. The local news station heard about the legal battle and my efforts to modernize the farm. They wanted to do a human interest story, City Girl Fights Family to Save Grandfather's Legacy. At first, I was terrified. But then I remembered my grandfather's words, "The truth is like the sun, Lily. It always finds a way to shine." I agreed. The story aired on a Tuesday evening. It showed me in the fields, explaining soil microbiology. It showed the before and after pictures of the land. It included a short, but powerful, interview with my lawyer who laid out the legal facts. And it showed a picture of me and my grandfather, smiling, standing in the very fields I was now fighting for. The public response was overwhelming. My family, who had tried so hard to paint me as incompetent and selfish, were suddenly cast as the villains in a story everyone was rooting for. The phone at the farm started ringing off the hook, but it wasn't my angry relatives anymore. It was chefs from the city wanting to place orders. It was people from town asking if I had a farm stand. It was other young people, inspired by the story, asking if I needed volunteers. The pressure on my family became immense. The community had chosen a side, and it wasn't theirs. Their legal case, already weak, crumbled under the weight of public opinion and solid legal defense. One by one, they dropped their claims. The last holdout, my uncle, finally conceded after his own business partners told him the bad press was hurting his reputation. Victory wasn't a loud, triumphant explosion. It was quiet. It was the silence of a phone that no longer rang with threats. It was the peace of walking my land knowing it was truly mine. The first thing I did was open a farm stand right at the edge of the property, just like my grandfather had always wanted to. The first day, there was a line of cars down the road. I sold out of everything in 2 hours. As I was packing up, an old farmer who had given me advice months earlier pulled up in his truck. He bought the last basket of tomatoes. He looked at me, then at the bustling, now empty stand, and then out at the thriving green fields. He just nodded and said, "Your grandpa would be so damn proud of you, kid." And in that moment, standing there with dirt under my fingernails and the sun on my face, I knew he was right. I hadn't just saved his farm. I had brought it back to life. Thank you so much for watching my story. If you've ever felt like you're fighting a battle alone, remember that your passion and knowledge are your greatest strengths. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to follow my journey as I continue to grow this farm. See you next time.